Hey, everybody. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever you're watching this. Welcome to another episode of Keto Rocks and Carnivore Country. I'm Jim Hobbs, and to my left or right, depending how you're looking at your screen, is Mr. Brian Forsythe from Kix. And we are here to encourage you, answer your questions, just to share a little bit about the Keto Carnivore Lifestyle, how we arrived here, and how we can help you to be able to take your life to a higher level and extend your life, and to let you know there's a lot of life left in you, especially if you look at food as fuel. And we're here to help you get as much mileage out of your vehicle as we can. So with that being said, welcome to another episode of Keto Rocks. Now, the question I get a lot, I don't know if you get this, Brian, or not, but people say, yeah, but how do I get started? How do I get started? And I say, okay, the first thing to do, and I'll share my viewpoint and I'll let Brian share his. My viewpoint is you need to be honest with yourself. You need to take inventory of literally what you normally eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. How often do you eat? And why do you eat it? And I say that, why do you eat it? Are you eating it just to fill gaps? Are you feeling it? Are you eating it because it's emotional eating? You need to really ask yourself these questions so you can find out what you're using food for. If you're using food for a crutch, because the whole idea of going keto and carnivore lifestyle is to start to use food as a fuel for your body, because we want your body to maximize its potential. And the way to do that is really start to eat, to be great, to feel great, to eat for health. And so I'll tell you my brief story, how I got introduced to keto. I was actually meeting a friend of mine at a golf course, and we were eating at the clubhouse before we were going to go play a round of golf. And we ordered a sausage and egg breakfast biscuit, and he took his biscuit off. He took the biscuit off, and I said, what are you doing? He's, oh man, he goes, Atkins. I go, Atkins? What's Atkins? And he's like, man, I don't eat any carbs. I try not to eat carbs. And I go, at that point, I didn't even know what carbs were. I was like, well, what's a carb? He goes, it's stuff that turns into sugar. I go, oh, okay. He goes, yeah, I can have as much of the egg and the bacon and the sausage that I want. And he ordered like 2 of them, and he was just eating that. I go, that's cool. That works. He goes, yeah. I go, wow, I could do that. I said, I love bacon and sausage and egg. I mean, I could eat. He goes, yeah, have at it. So I go, huh. So the next morning I woke up and I said, my wife goes, what are you cooking so much bacon for? I said, this is going to be my meal. I'm eating bacon and eggs today. She's like, really? That doesn't sound like you. And I go, I'm going to try it. I said, Jay shared with me this Atkins diet that he's on. He's already lost like 10 pounds, says he feels great. So I'm going to give it a shot. And then she goes, okay. And she just thought it was a phase that I was in. So she's, go ahead. And I started to just literally live off of meat, eggs. And I wasn't even really serious about it, but I was still considered fried chicken wings as keto friendly. So I didn't go straight serious keto, but I cut out the stuff that I knew was bad. I did cut out the sugar, and lo and behold, probably within the first week I lost like 5 pounds, and the second week I lost 10. And like in the first month I had lost like 20 pounds. And my wife goes, wow, she goes, you're really losing some weight. And I said, yeah. I said, and I'm beginning to feel really, really good. So it was probably about 3 months into it, she says, look, you're really serious about this. This is just not a thing for you. I go, no. I said, I'm really feeling good. So she then said, well, I'm going to start trying it. And so she tried it. Now, for her, the weight did not come off as fast. So she got very frustrated. Matter of fact, if I'm recalling correctly, she actually didn't feel that great. She had the keto flu. She was feeling a little sluggish. She didn't feel really well, but she got over that. And then it was really fun for both of us to do it together. And she lost a lot of weight. And probably over the next couple of years, we together probably lost like 150 pounds.
Wow.
And people were telling us, man, how you guys look great. What are you guys doing? We said, Atkins, we're doing Atkins. So, but then I'm just going to tell everybody then I started to incorporate my old bad habits. I would stop off at Dunkin' Donuts, and in addition to my iced coffee, I go, I'm going to get a maple sausage biscuit today with the bread. And I went down that slippery slope, and I would weigh myself, and I noticed the pounds started coming on. And so I will just tell you, I fell off. It took me about 5 years, and I fell off the cliff. And one morning I woke up and I was like looking at myself, and I'm like, what happened? What happened? I'm like 300 pounds again. What's going on? What did I do? How did I get back to this place? And so the next go around, I promised myself I would never go back to that place. And so we've been serious now for about 2 years, 2.5 years, where we cut out all the sugar. So that's how I got started. I'll let Brian share a little bit about why he got started again, but then I'm going to go into some steps of what you need to do to continue, how to get started, and the next steps that you need to take if you're really serious about going keto or carnivore.
Yeah, as far as getting started, um, like for me, a lot of people jump into it to lose weight. I didn't really have that problem. I actually did it to get healthy, and that's really, I think if somebody's thinking about it, they need to ask themselves that question: Why do I want this, and what am I looking to get out of this? That's the other thing, because really, I mean, you will lose weight, but really, what it is it's about losing fat, not necessarily weight. But I mean, the weight will come off with it, but all that fat inside that's around your organs, that's the dangerous fat that's not healthy, and the keto diet and the carnivore diet both, they'll get rid of the fat, and the way that happens is you by cutting out the carbs and the sugar, your body has to use that fat for energy. So that's how it ends up burning off that fat. And you were talking about, uh, asking yourself why you're eating the things you eat. I didn't really discover that till I went into the intermittent fat that like added the intermittent fasting to everything. That's when I discovered, I wasn't even looking to discover that, but that's what it taught me when I started doing the fasting, because I would really stick to it. I'd have my cutoff time, I'd stop, and a few hours later I'd start thinking about when I would, like in my old days, I'd get up and go back into the kitchen. I'd get out the crackers and the peanut butter and the jelly, and make peanut butter and jelly crackers for a snack like mid evening. And so early on, I in my fasting, I'd be in my fasting window and I'd want to go do that. And I go, no, well, I can't now. And then I'd actually walk into the kitchen and I'd think, wow, I'm not even hungry, but this is what I grab that stuff now, even though I'm not hungry. It's like, and I realized it was like different times of the day, like in response to different things, I'd want to go in the kitchen, like grab a handful of nuts or like these old habits I used to do. And it wasn't because I was hungry. It was because, I mean, sometimes it happens out of boredom, but a lot of times for me, I don't even know how to explain it. It'd be like, I have kind of like this phone phobia. I hate talking on the phone. So sometimes I would like get through like a phone call that I've been putting off, and I'd do it. And then that's when I'd want to go to the kitchen and just like stuff my mouth with something. And I'm like, I haven't figured out what that connection is, but it's almost like this weird like reaction. It's an emotional reaction.
Right.
Um, but that's what, and with the fasting and the dropping of the sugar and the carbs, um, for one thing, it cut out a lot of that stuff. But the fasting, it really made it so I want to do it, but I was like, no, I can't do it. It's like I'm in the middle of this fasting state. I don't want to mess it up. Um, so that was one of the lessons I got out of it. But the other thing about getting started is really all this whole thing. I mean, they refer to it as a diet, but really all it is you're getting rid of all the processed junk, the sugar, the carbs, and you're just eating real food, like what you're supposed to eat.
Right,
And a lot of
right.
people,
No.
and the people that are scared of this diet think, oh, you're gonna kill yourself. It's like, what? Why would I be like? Why would you be killing yourself by eating what you're supposed to eat, like the natural food? I mean, if you're going to go buy a box of cereal or something off the shelf at the store that's processed, that's killing yourself, and that's considered normal. You know, it's completely backwards. Um, but yeah, this is the way. I mean, humans, especially like carnivore. I have nothing against somebody who wants to be vegetarian, but really, eating meat has, I mean, humans have been doing that since the beginning, since they've learned how to hunt. I mean, that's what they ate. And actually, you know, speaking of fasting, that the whole fasting concept, you know, back in the old caveman days when they had to go out, they'd hunt some huge giant thing like a woolly mammoth, and they'd kill it and they'd have food for a few days, so they just gorge themselves on the meat and the fat and the organs, and then that would be gone, and then they'd have to go for like several days before they could find another one of those things. So they'd naturally fast during that time, and people think that you're going to die if you don't eat, but really it sharpens your awareness, because that's where it comes from. It's like when you're in that fasted state, your ancient instincts are
Yeah.
like go into hunter mode. So you're really like sharp, and it's really it's a cool experience. I mean, I've learned a lot from going through this.
Yeah, one of the things that brought a big smile on my face this morning, I was listening to one of the local radio stations here in Grant and Danny on 1067, The Fan, was literally talking about intermittent fasting. He was saying, he goes, oh, no, I don't eat anything now for, I go at least 16 hours before I take my next meal. And I was like, yes. It's so, you know, you're hearing intermittent fasting more and more now. So it's awesome to hear more and more people talking about it, because, you know, for the longest period of time, people literally took whatever their physician told them to do as the gospel. They did exactly what their doctor told them to do.
And
And
that's what you should be able to do that too. But yeah.
but as Brian and I found out each individually, when you start to do your own research, and this is what we're trying to encourage you to do, is just do your own research. And there's some questions that will help you come to the reasoning why you should be doing your own research. Because these doctors just didn't wake up as a doctor. They went to a school that taught them what that school wanted them to know. And then, in addition to them becoming a doctor, they are a highly regulated profession in which they have to follow protocol, or else they could lose their license and their career. They've been going to school now for 8 to 10 years. And the last thing you want to do when you've invested your 20s into your profession is to lose the ability to earn an income over the profession you have chosen, because you're not following the protocol. So, you know, you may hear, I'll speak for myself, you may hear us talk about, or hear me talk about doctors, and like, I'm telling you not to listen to them. And I have the utmost respect for doctors, because for anyone to dedicate themselves to that many years to learning a profession, I have my utmost respect. And most people get into that medical field because they want to be able to help uh, people. They want to be able to help people. So they think by doing that, they're doing a good thing. So they are not consciously trying to put you in a worse position than you were before you went to go visit them for a physical, or to get recommendations. But ask yourself this question, do your own research. Go back and look at the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s 2000, 2010 to 2000 to now. And since we have regulated the USDA food pyramid, which has been followed, and since we changed from, as Brian was saying earlier, from foods that our ancestors back in the caveman days, they didn't go to a store and pick up donuts or chips or cereal or processed food. They hunted something that actually lived, and they killed it and they cooked it and they ate it, or they caught it, whether it was a fish. There was no such thing as processed food. So, but if you look at what's happened over the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, you look at us as a country in America, obesity has been on the rise. Sugar diabetes has been on the rise. Cancer has been on the rise.
Alzheimer's and dementia.
Alzheimer's, yeah. All those things, and you'll find out they seem to be all interrelated. And so Brian says something I think is very important. When you start to implement fasting as part of your lifestyle, you'll start to regain control over those things that were controlling you. And it gives you a sense of peace, accomplishment, and I can't explain it other than it's a knowing, it's a power that I think that we each have. It's a power, and I can't explain it. All I can do is hopefully encourage you to experience it, because I think once you experience it, you'll kind of understand what we're trying to convey. But truly do your own research, look at what's happened, look at the people in your own family, just do inventory of the people in your family, look at the people who have died. There's probably somebody in your family that's either died from cancer or has diabetes right now, or Alzheimer's. One of those three, almost every family member of the family has someone in their family that knows it has those three. Would you agree with that, Brian?
Yeah.
So the question is, why is that? So if everybody's following the USDA food pyramid, and you got all these processed foods that sit there and got a big old red heart on it, said heart healthy, you think you're eating, or if it's SnackWells or whatever all this food is that's supposed to be healthy for us, or the non-fat, like go into the store and look at how marketing is done. Non-fat this, non-fat ice cream, low-fat yogurt. Everything's low-fat or non-fat, and the reality of it is it's not the fat that causes you to get fat.
It's the sugar they replace the fat with.
Yeah. And then the chemicals they put in there so that has such a long shelf life, those things get stored up in your liver, then you get fatty liver disease, your pancreas works overtime, it causes cancer. Because look, this is just my opinion. Those chemicals that come in your body wants your body's made so you can survive and live a long life. It wants to live a long life. So it creates ways to try to rid itself of that poison that we are constantly putting in our bodies. And that's why, back when I was 300 pounds and eating processed food or processed crap, I felt sluggish. And, Brian said it just earlier, I would just eat. I was emotional eating because from my background, my family was a family that celebrated accomplishments by food, whether it's birthdays, anniversaries. We always got together and we celebrated by having fried chicken, potato salad, and big family get-togethers. And I came from a pretty big family. My mom and my dad both had like 8 brothers and sisters on each side, so it was a large get-together. There's a lot of food at a Hobbs buffet get-together, but that's food that's not good for you. And then you go to the store these days and you're just bombarded with row and aisle after aisle after aisle of processed food. So where do you start? And so I'm gonna get into that after Brian shares whatever's on his heart, and then I'll kind of share. I'll share that.
Yeah. You also mentioned the research. That's another thing too. It's important. Um, yeah, because a lot of the research behind like the American Heart Association and all that stuff, um, they'll tell you one thing, but if you actually look at who's paying for their their who's who they're funded by, it's all like big pharma. It's by the food industry. It's by the even um, the medical insurance companies. Like all those things are all together, and they pay for the research to come out in their favor, and all these food things with the labels on the gluten freeze and all this. They glom onto one of those phrases and they'll stick it on all their food items to get you to buy it. And now nowadays it's the keto friendly, and people fall for that so fast. So it's very important to be educated on this stuff and to know exactly what's in the ingredients. Because I get a lot of questions, and I belong to a few Facebook groups, keto and carnivore, and you'll get the new people and they'll have a question about a product or something like, has anyone used this? And I'll Google it and I'll look at the ingredients and it'd be like a nightmare of ingredients. So I'll just copy and paste and put it back in the comment. I go, did you read the ingredients label? It's like, it's crazy what they hide in those. Well, sometimes it's not even hidden. It's just blatantly in plain view, but most people don't know what those ingredients are or what they mean. I mean, if you look at like real butter or something, there's only like one ingredient or meat.
Salt, butter, salt, cream, salt. Yeah.
Yeah, you go buy a steak, there's one ingredient, beef. It's like that's all you need. You don't need like maltodextrin and this and that and all those preservatives and well, the worst in processed food is the vegetable and seed oils that they put in there. And yeah, it's crazy. I've even seen some like healthy food in the organic aisle. I might have mentioned this before, but I eat those pork rinds or the pork skins, the crackling, the
Oh yeah,
crunchy
I
one.
love those.
And it's just pork skin with it's pork fat in the skin, and it's just fried in its own fat. Um, so it's all animal. So it's only that's it should only be that and salt maybe on the label, which it is the ones I buy. But I remember being in the health food section at the store and finding a bag of pork rinds, and I go, I wonder if these are any good. And I flip it over, and it says pork skin and fat fried in canola oil. So it's like the healthy version. It's like, what? The canola oil you just poisoned it. That's
Yeah,
like spraying bug spray on it. Like,
yeah. That's what they use in bugs. That's what they use in bug spray or a lot of the poisons for is canola oil. Yeah, see, that's one of the things you'll start to realize is you have to ask yourself, why do these manufacturers of these food products add these other products which don't need to be added? But there's a reason why they add those products, because it's going to cause you to want to come back to that product. But you died, and that's what I'm saying. When you educate yourself, I'm not saying just listen to us. I'm saying go do your own due diligence, do your education, your research, and then start to wonder why. Because Brian said something that Peggy and I, my wife, we have to go buy specific pork rinds because, like you said, Brian, there's so many out there that just you could sometimes it says sugar. They got sugar on pork rinds. Like they add sugar to the pork rind. Like why?
yeah. Well, that's the other thing. I buy the plain because anytime they start adding flavor to it or spice or this, you never know what that involves because they'll say natural flavors, and it's like, okay, what's natural flavors mean?
Yeah,
But
and the other thing you'll start to realize is when you start to label shop is that you'll see that there's so many different ways to they'll have sugar, then they'll have all the other names for a different version of sugar, then they'll have corn
Yeah,
syrup
yeah,
and you
dextrose.
know the,
Yeah, yeah. There was one
all
of
the
this friend
yeah.
of mine.
Listen, here's the go ahead. What were you saying, Brian?
Oh, I was gonna say this friend of mine posted some. It was some kind of barbecue, uh, um, like a rub stuff, and I Googled it, and I messaged him. I didn't want to give him a hard time, but I go, did you read the label on that? I said you might be better off making your own, and because it did, it was like sugar, and then it had some kind of because it was flavored, so it was it honey or something, but it was honey syrup. Like, what is that? It's probably some refined version of just honey that makes it worse. And then it had also had, and then it had sugar, another sugar or dextrose, in like sugar and dextrose and this other honey syrup. And then it might have had the monosodium glutamate in there too.
Yeah.
But
I don't think I we were talking earlier. I shopped at the grocery store this afternoon on the way home, and I was out of heavy whipping cream. So I was looking for heavy whipping cream, and the whole milk section, heavy whipping cream was gone. I could not find it. Then I'm like, they gotta have one. I mean, I'm totally out. I need some. And all of a sudden there's this row and it said heavy whipping cream. And I'm like, oh, great. So I pick it up. And I'm thinking, well, why is everything empty around it? Why is this one? So I start reading the ingredients and it says, not from a cow. And I'm like, yeah, it was a vegetable soy. It had so much seed oil that it was their veggie version or vegan version of heavy whipping cream. And I'm like, this is just got poison after poison in it. And so
yeah,
it's
but
but
it's
it's
sad because
crazy.
a lot of people think that like they would think that that's healthier because it doesn't have. I don't know, like the vegetable version. People always associate that with a healthier version, but really it's the other way around. It's like the worst thing you can do. I never understand those imitation things like that. It's weird.
Like the imitation crab meat. I was at the counter looking at the salmon and the shrimp and they had the imitation crab meat that looks just like crab meat. And
Yeah,
so that's a perfect so that I always look at that and go, that's a perfect example of the American diet. Most Americans, not all, but most Americans buy their food. It's all imitation. It's man-made created crap. You're doing an imitation crab when right beside it, you could actually buy the crab, and the crab may be a little bit more expensive, but you're getting the authentic, real crab meat, not imitation. And it's so much more healthier for you in the long run. So you may be saving $5 a pound on crab meat, but you are having to make up for it by paying for your insulin, whatever you need in order to maintain the lifestyle in which your doctor is trying to keep you alive longer. And so that's a great comparison. Imitation crab meat. So think when you're going shopping these days, look on the box. If it's got more than 3 ingredients or you cannot pronounce the ingredients, probably good that you just put that back on the shelf. Like Brian said, meat, eggs, fish, all one-word ingredients. Fish.
well, they can even mess up like natural things, like the heavy whipping cream. Like if you notice, like
Yeah.
when there is a choice, like I always look at the different ones because some of them they'll put in like the what is it? I think I brought this up before. However you say it, carrageenan or carrageenan, whatever that ingredient. It's a it's
Preservative for
well they add it to like salad dressing. It's so you don't have to
it's
shake it.
just right.
So it keeps the particles suspended, so that everything's always mixed when you pour it. But that thing that they add is highly inflammatory. It's like really bad for your joints and you know, like if you have any kind of arthritis, it'll cause flare-ups. Like that's like, and they'll take something like heavy cream and add that to it and just mess it up. So I always have to look at the, you know, make sure I can find the one that doesn't have that in it. It's crazy.
So let's you just trigger something there, Brian. So you're eating some food that's triggered arthritis in you. So what does most Americans do? Most people are going to pick up the phone, call their doctor and say, I got arthritis. And what's the doctor going to say? Oh, you need to cut out that crap you're eating. No, the doctor's going to say, hey, I got a drug right here that will help you with that. And then you get on that drug. Guess what? That drug's not helping you. That drug is masking the issue in which you have. You haven't solved your problem. It's like you not being able to figure out a math problem, and the doctor says, here, cover your eyes. Do you see the math problem? No, I don't see it. Then you don't have a problem. Keep moving forward. And so that's not what you want to do. You want to be able to solve your problem. And to solve your problem, or at least get a hold of it, is to really understand what it is you're eating. So
Yeah, it all starts with
go
your
ahead,
diet.
Brian.
I was going to say
It all starts with
your diet.
Right. So let's just come to the agreement. So if we all can come to an agreement that food is fuel, do you want to put food in your body that's going to cause you to break down on the side of the road, or do you want to put food in your body that's going to cause you to be able to get 50 miles to the gallon so you can go a long, long way to your destination? Brian, you're floating.
Yeah, I had the porch door ajar for the cat to get out, but it wasn't quite open far enough, and she couldn't get it open for some reason. I had to go let her out.
You look like a ghost. All of a sudden, you're just like your head. You're just like floating through the hallways, the doorway. So, but yeah, so come to ask yourself that. Go ahead. What you doing, Brian?
There's a cat running across my yard with a mouse hanging out of its mouth. It might not even be a mouse. What is that? It might be like it looked bigger than a mouse. That was
well. There you go. Look, see there it goes back to your roots. The cat is eating something that.
Yeah, it wasn't my cat though. To be clear, that wasn't my cat. My cat doesn't actually go outside, but it was the neighbor's cat. I saw that cat earlier too. Yeah, the cat's a natural carnivore. It's out there hunting.
Yeah, doing what it's instinctively programmed to go do. I think I was talking to you this earlier, Brian. I was speaking to Halo, who owns Mystic, and he was just telling you, if people would just listen to their bodies will tell them the intelligence that's programmed in your body. Listen to it, because too many people are giving their power away. You're giving your power away when you're going to somebody who has a title, and I don't mean no disrespect with that, but they only know what they've been taught. They don't know you and your body. Only you and your body knows you. And so do the research from people who are actively doing research and are being honest. There's a lot of doctors out there. I mean, we talk about Dr. Ken Berry a lot, but he's one that's on the forefront. He's constantly on the forefront sharing his findings and telling you. And that's why he's, in the past, he has been in trouble with the board because of his outspoken opinion and what his findings have been. But do you want to eat what everybody else is eating when, if you follow that pattern, you're going to end up with cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, on an insulin pump? Do you want to follow that path to where everybody's being led to? Or do you want to kind of break free from that path and go back to a simpler life? It's a much simpler life when you just use salt, pepper, meat, eggs. Now, carnivore is different than keto, but, cheese, and there's and I think it'd be very hard, personally speaking, to go straight from whatever lifestyle you're living now straight to carnivore. But I think what you will find, there's a progression that could lead you to a carnivore lifestyle like it has Brian. But I'm not full carnivore yet, but because there's certain stuff that I still do. But I will tell you, the education that you get by doing your own research and doing your own due diligence, and how your body responds to you truly feeding it the food that will fuel it properly. Like, my blood pressure used to be 200 over 100. I think I shared that for 20 years. That's what it is. My blood pressure right now, I take it every morning, is 110 over 73. Pretty much, it's always in that range. And that's the kind of stuff I want to share. Yes, I'm no doctor. Yes, I'm just somebody from Virginia, or who lives in Virginia. But I will tell you, I'm somebody to my body, because what I've learned to do is to feed my body, give it the fuel it needs. And I can tell you, at my age, I feel like I'm 26 years old, even though I'm 56 years old. I can tell you, I couldn't have said that 3 years ago. I can tell that to you today. So I'm encouraging you to be able to have your body maximize the health that it has the potential to have. And I think if you'll just do that, and I don't mean sit there and tell your doctor, well, I'm not going to listen to you because I listened to these two guys and they told me that you don't know what you're talking about. We're not saying that at all. All I'm saying is, whatever he shares with you, go back and do research in regards to that, because the last thing you go ahead.
I was going to say, especially if he recommends a drug, you gotta
Yes.
research that before you just blindly take it, because you never know.
That's a very slippery slope. Once you get into the worlds of the statin drugs, it's a slippery slope to keep you alive at that point while it's doing damage to your body.
Yeah, I just posted that Dr. Berry video on my page today about statins.
So we're going to wrap this up, but so to answer the question that people have, well, how do I get started? Just start somewhere, but literally start by looking in the mirror, taking inventory of, your eating habits and why you eat, and truly make it a goal of yours just to start to substitute things that, I'm not saying go cold turkey, but, ask yourself why you're eating certain foods, and then research and find out what the substitute is for that. Like, if you're addicted to potato chips, I know a lot of people love to eat potato chips while they watch TV and pop a DVD in. Substitute it with pork rinds, but make sure they're the pork rinds that have very simple ingredients: salt, pepper, fat. That's it.
Yeah, fried in their own fat. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very important. And we're laughing every time we talk about this, because we laugh from experience, because I know how hard it is to find pork rinds that are the right pork rinds that are going to be good for your body. So if you're going to eat a pork rind, you might as well eat the one that's going to be the best for your body. So there's just different ways that you can substitute foods that you normally eat that's going to be subtle. And I think those subtle changes will lead you into a more disciplined lifestyle. And then when you start to add in the intermittent fasting and the exercise, it'll start to all come together for you. And then it gives you clarity. It gives you, you'll start to, what's the word I'm looking for? Your body will start to have energy to do other things than what you've been doing, which is just coasting by, eating the 5 to 7 small meals a day, and not feeling like doing anything. When you get home from work, you just want to go crash on the couch. That's it. No, there's much more to life than just living that lifestyle and then seeing a doctor every 6 months and telling you, take this drug. Well, yeah, let's take this, increase your insulin. And that's a very slippery slope. So I just want to encourage you, for you to listen to your body. And I think if you'll do that, you will start to respond and start living a much more fulfilling life for yourself.
Yeah, and also, find some other people that are already doing this, and sort of, ask them how they're doing it, and, just ask around and you know, people will show you. People are glad to show you how to do this stuff. I mean, I love sharing stuff with people.
Yeah, I do too. So that's a great point. So if you have been encouraged by this, help us out here by liking the channel, giving us a thumbs up. We have a Facebook page called Keto Rocks Country Carnivore, or Carnivore Country, on Facebook. It's something. You can find us on there. It's got a picture of us, so you'll know it's us.
Country Carnivore.
But
I should get a banjo
it's a
out.
whole new
Song.
it's a whole new lifestyle. But anyway, you know, we're here and we'll respond to you. We want to help you out. We want to come alongside you. We want to be able to encourage you. And it's just not us two. There's plenty of people out there who are taking the dive into a new lifestyle of keto carnivore. And like Brian said, you know, I haven't met a ketoan or a carnivorian that wasn't very helpful if you sit there and you know, ask them a question or tell them where you're at, tell them where you're stuck at, and to try to help you out. Because look, we've all been there. I'll be an open book for you. I've done the peaks and the valleys and the slippery slope, and I'll try to help you out as much as I can, because I would love to see everybody healthy as you can be.
Yes.
All right. So we'll wrap this up. We'll see you guys next week. What's anything you want to, anything? Hey, you got those new picks that you got out there. I see them on Facebook. How does someone get your Brian Damage guitar picks? Do you know?
Oh yeah, that's funny because our bass player Mark Shanker, he had those pick packs and they were selling them at our merch table. And I remember one of the last few gigs we played before everything got shut down. He goes, hey, you should get some of those picks. He gave me the info to contact the guy, and I a lot of times I put stuff off, but I finally took care of it. I ordered the picks, and he shipped them to our merch girl, and then, you know, we had no gigs. So it's like, well, nobody's gonna even see them now for at least another year, and then luckily we have another online merch guy, and his website's called Right Rock. It's Right Rock Apparel, and he sells all the Kix shirts. He's the guy that does the Monsters of Rock cruise too. That's how we hooked up with him. So our merch girl sent a batch of my picks to him, so now he's got them on his website. So you can go to Right Rock Apparel, and it's all one word, Right Rock, and you can find my picks there. And it's so funny because I think she sent him like 50 packs, and they sold out within minutes. So
Really, that's awesome.
So she had to send him another 50, which I think they're just getting there now. But I went back to the original pick guy that I ordered them from, and I ordered more, and I'm having them shipped directly to this guy at Right Rock. So he'll have a nice stash of them.
Awesome. Well, that's exciting. All right, we'll put the link to that in the show notes in the comment section below, so you can order your Brian Damage picks. And until next week, stay safe, stay well, and stay keto and carnivore.